Anyone can get an AI agent to write code in a browser tab. Almost nobody can wire one into a system that ships to production without a person losing sleep. That second thing is a job now. This video is about the architecture that makes it safe, where every part of it can be switched off, and whether the job title anyone is selling you actually exists. Start with the distinction that matters. A prompt gives you a one-off output. What a team needs is a wired workflow that produces repeatable delivery. That framing comes from GitHub in a piece published this month. And I want to be upfront. GitHub sells the tool this article recommends. The architecture is real and standard. The article is also a funnel. It cites no studies, no customers, and no numbers, and it closes by selling conference tickets. Take the shape of the argument. Do not take it as evidence. Here is the shape. It has 4 parts, and once you see it, you will recognize it everywhere. Part 1. The trigger. Something ordinary in your repository starts the work. Adding a label to an issue, a scheduled job overnight, not a person typing into a chat window. Part 2. The scoped agent. The workflow invokes an agent to do a task you defined with permissions you chose. That word scoped is doing enormous work, and we will come back to it. Part 3. The pull request. The agent's output lands as a proposal, not a change. Nothing has happened to your codebase yet. Part 4. The deterministic gates. Linting, tests, security scanning, build verification, then code owners, required reviews, and branch protections decide what merges. The word deterministic is the whole point. The agent is probabilistic. It might do something different tomorrow with the same input. The gates are not. They give the same verdict every time. You are not making the agent reliable. You are surrounding an unreliable thing with reliable ones. That is a very old engineering idea, and it long predates any of this. Now the part with actual teeth. Permission scoping, using real configuration you can go and read yourself. In Anthropic's own GitHub Actions documentation, there are 2 jobs using the same action. One grants write access to contents, pull requests, and issues. The other grants read access to contents. That is it. That is their own documentation, not a diagram I drew. Same tool. One of those can rewrite your repository, the other can only look at it. The difference is 5 lines of configuration that a human chose. That is the job, not prompting, deciding what a non-deterministic process is allowed to touch, and writing it down where it gets enforced. GitHub's own risk documentation is more useful than its marketing because it describes the limits rather than the promise. Their cloud agent cannot mark its own pull requests ready for review. It cannot approve or merge them, and workflows do not run on its code until a human with write access clicks approve. It runs in an ephemeral environment that is thrown away afterwards. Every one of those is a deliberate constraint, and they are the reason this pattern is defensible at all. And now the turn, which is the part the marketing does not put in the headline. Every one of those constraints can be switched off. The firewall that stops the agent reaching the open internet can be disabled. GitHub's own documentation says doing so increases the risk of exfiltration of code or other sensitive information. Branch protection rules accept applications as bypass actors, and the setup file that prepares the agent's environment runs outside the firewall entirely. So the deterministic boundary is not a property of the technology, it is a configuration somebody chose and can unchoose next quarter when a deadline gets tight. Which is why the interesting security question is not whether the boundary works, it is what happens when somebody turns it off. There is a real case. Last year, attackers compromised a widely used build tools release pipeline. Once inside developer machines, they did something new. They invoked the AI coding assistants already installed on those machines, and they invoked them with the safety confirmations explicitly disabled. The flags are documented and they are not subtle. Read those again, dangerously skip permissions, trust all tools. The tools told people exactly what those flags did, and the attackers used them as intended. I want to be precise about what that incident was, because a lot of coverage blurs it. The agents were not how the attackers got in. They got in through a compromised package pipeline. The agents were what they found lying around. And here is the honest state of the threat, which almost nobody reports accurately. There is a large body of research on tricking coding agents through poisoned issues and comments. As of today, all of it is proof of concept. That distinction matters. Proof of concept means smart people showed it can be done under controlled conditions. It does not mean it is happening to you this week. And while we are being careful, There is a serious vulnerability in this space that gets reported with the wrong identifier attached. The number circulating in several articles belongs to a completely different incident. The underlying research is real and it was fixed. The reference number is wrong, so this film does not put it on screen. The architectural point from that research is what actually teaches. The researcher said this is not a flaw in any one piece of code, but a fundamental architectural issue that has to be addressed at the agent system level, meaning no vendor can patch this away for you. An agent that reads untrusted text and can take actions is a category of problem, not a bug, which is exactly why the scoping is the job. So what do the deterministic gates actually catch? There is a hard number for this. Veracode tested over 100 models, 45% of the code samples failed security testing. Java was worst at 72%. Cross-site scripting was left undefended in 86% of relevant samples. Their published report, with the sample size on it, and the sentence that settles the design argument, security performance stayed flat regardless of model size. Waiting for a smarter model does not fix this. If the model cannot reliably check itself, and a bigger one does not either, then the check has to live outside the model. That is not a preference. That is the argument for the whole architecture. Now the career question, and I am going to disappoint some people here. Orchestrator is largely not a real job title. It does not appear in LinkedIn's list of the 25 fastest growing roles for this year. The top of that list is AI engineer. I found one genuine posting for it at Accenture called Agentic Orchestration Engineer. Read the requirements and it is infrastructure engineering, state machines, async Python, observability, agent lifecycle, and versioning. Which tells you the useful thing. The work is real, the label is marketing, and one named practitioner calls the role nothing but a kind of spin-off of an engineer, which is a fair hit. The skills, though, are showing up in the data under their own names. Dice's list of skills growing over 200% year over year includes agentic AI, AI agents, observability, maintainability, and cloud-native architecture. The list as Dice publishes it. One caveat I have to give you, Dice publishes that list, not a growth figure per skill. If anyone quotes you an exact percentage for observability specifically, they invented it. And I could not find a single verified salary figure for an agentic orchestration role in 2026. Not one. So this film gives you no number and you should distrust anyone who does. So here is what to actually build if you want the skill rather than the title. 1. Take a real repetitive task in a repository you own. Something dull, dependency bumps, changelog updates, test scaffolding for new files. 2. Trigger it from a repository event rather than a chat, a label, or a schedule. If a human has to remember to run it, you built a tool, not a workflow. 3. Give it the smallest permission set that lets it finish. Start with read-only and add exactly what breaks. This is the part that separates people who have done it from people who have watched a demo. 4. Make it produce a pull request and nothing else. No direct commits to the main branch, no self-approval, no merge rights. The agent proposes, a person disposes. 5. Put the gates in front of the merge and make them mandatory. Tests, linting, security scanning, and a required human review from a code owner. Then run it for a month and read every pull request it opens. That last step is the one people skip, and it is the one that teaches you what these things get wrong. You cannot supervise a system you have never watched fail. One thing this film will not tell you is that agents in your pipeline are being actively exploited. The record does not support that yet. What it will tell you is that the boundary keeping this safe is made of configuration files and somebody has to own them. That somebody is doing the job whether or not their title says so. Both sides of this argument, the people selling the new title and the people calling it rebranding, agree on one thing. The work needs more senior judgment, not less. The agent writes the code. You decide what it is allowed to touch, and you are the one whose name is on the merge.